Hey guys, EpicMan14111 here, and as promised, here's the update on my Cubic deck profile. This is with Duza support. So, I got this deck profile from a different YouTuber, Team Samurai X. But anyway, let's just get started with this. Okay, starting off with our monsters. 3 Duzas. This is pretty much what with this deck, what you're mostly going for is to have a Duza in your hand. Because thanks to his effect, it's an easy way to ditch Karma from your deck. Ditching Karma is the most important thing you want to do with this. This deck does use Trinity, but it doesn't really need to. It has a few extra deck cards as well. But then, of course, 3 Crimson Nova. It can OTK pretty much if you pull it off right. If not, it's still pretty good. Then, of course, if you're using a cubic deck, you have to use 3 Vjam. Because you only have 2 cubic monsters that can be normal summoned. All the others need to be special summoned. This deck runs 4 cards that can be normal summoned. Well, with duplicates. So there's 3 Duzas in this deck, 3 Vjam, so 6 monsters right there. I'll get to the others in a minute. Then 2 Buster Gundle, 1 Iniadora, Doomvolt, 1 Vulcan Dragny, Blade Garudia the Cubic Beast. I chose to go with this card instead of using Giriguli. Well, I might use Giriguli because he doesn't need to destroy an opponent's monster to take off his effect. So, might switch to Giriguli instead, but Dark Garnex, the Cubic Beast. And now the other monster. That's it for the Cubics. Now, monsters. Now on to the others. 2 Summoner Monk. Because pretty much for Summoner Monk here, say you have a monk in your hand with Duza and Karma as well. So you summon Monk, he will go to defense mode with his ability, discard Karma to special summon Duza. Duza's effect will then activate. You can send another Karma to your grave, then banish both of those with their abilities, and add 2 Cubics cards from your deck to your hand. So a good way if you have 2 Cubic cards already with different names in your hand, you can add Crimson Nova with another Cubic monster or Cubic card, and then boom, you get to reveal the 3 different named Cubic cards and Crimson Nova. So that's pretty good. So before Duza came out, Summoner Monk was your most sought after card for ditching Karma. But now it's a lot easier to get rid of Karma quite easily. Then I chose to do these instead of Max C, only because I can't really afford 2 Max Cs at the moment. Plus, I don't really see the point. I mean, unless you're going up against like pendulums or whatnot, or fusions, people who special summon a lot. But instead of 2 Max Cs, I chose 2 Prisma. Only because if you don't have Duza and you have him in your hand, you can still use Summoner Monk to summon out a level 4 monster like Prisma, who has decent attack power, instead of summoning Max C or whatnot. Depends who you duel. Some people don't even special summon, but a lot still do. But that's it for the monsters. Now for the spells. I run 3 Cubic Waves. This card is good for OTKing, especially with the Crimson Nova. I have a tip. After I do this deck profile, I have a small, like 1 tip. that I came up with, or a combo I came up with when testing this deck out against my Kaiba and Yugi deck. It just depends on what your opponent does on the first turn, but I'll get to that after this. 3 Cubic Karma. Must have in a Cubic deck. Must have 3 Cubic Karmas. That's it for the Cubic spells. 2 Reoccurring Nightmare. As well as 2 Twin Twisters. I'm using proxies because I have 1 Twin Twister, but it's being used in my Buster Blader deck. I'll be getting a second one eventually. If I find my Instant Fusion, or I might do something else instead, but I put Dark Eruption in here. Pretty much, if Vjam is in your graveyard and you need him back, this card is good for adding him back. Reasoning. Good way. Luck of the draw, in my opinion. Because you could get lucky and ditch a bunch of karmas to the grave. Or you can get bad luck and ditch most of your good monsters in the grave. Because like I said before, the only monsters in this deck that can be normal summoned is Summoner Monk, Prisma, Vjam, and Duza. That's 4. So with 3 Duzas and 3 Seeds, that's 6. And 2... You pretty much have 10 monsters that can be normal summoned. So I guess it's kind of balanced out. But anyway, moving on. Monster Gate, Fusion Conscription, and Upstart Goblin, which is in my Buster Blader deck, so I have to use a proxy instead for now. But anyway, now to the traps. 3 Unification of the Cubic Lords. For the first effect, I mean, yeah, this card is not really in this deck for the first effect. I mean, sure, it's a good way to use, like, Fusion for Trinity, which you don't often do in this deck. If you did, like, a pure Fusion build, then it would be used mostly for that. But it's used for its second ability, where if a Cubic monster leaves your field for any reason, you can banish this card from your graveyard and special summon a level 4 or lower Cubic monster from your deck, ignoring its summoning conditions from your hand or deck. My bad. So a good way to special summon out a Duza, pretty much Duza, or just bring out a Cubic and then tribute that Cubic for a better Cubic monster. Because the Cubics that need tributes only gain the attack power if they're special summoned from your hand with their ability, not if they're special summoned from the deck. Anyway, he also chose 3 Quake, or 2 Solemn, what was it? I forget, it was the new Solemn card that came out in the Megatins. Its name eludes me right now. But anyway, he had 2 of those, but instead of that I chose to switch out to 2 Cubic Rebirth. Pretty much to go with this, it's another card that lets you, if any counters were put on any cards, it lets you special summon a level 4 or lower Cubic, ignoring its summoning conditions. So again, Duza or whatnot. And then Solemn Warning, which is in a tin, one of my Megatins I have, that I will replace in a little bit. Moving on to the extra deck. Starting off, we have Trinity, which this deck can go for, but it's not the main focus point of it. Then for the XCs, let's see, your rank 4s, Gaga Cowboy, Utopia, Silent Honor Arc, Dark Rebellion XCs Dragon, Castel the Sky Blaster, Karen Gorgon, Antiluminescent Knight. Those are your rank 4s. He used Abyss Dweller as well, and Digesto Emerald and Diamond Dire Wolf, but I didn't have those cards at the time. He also used Utopia the Lightning, which I will not be kidding yet. That is a very expensive card of $30. But that's it for the rank 4s. Now for the rank 10. I think there was 3 of them. 2 of them being the same card, but I'll have to look for that later. I have it, one of it, but I'll have to look for it later. But until then, the only rank 10 I have in this deck is number 81, Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Superdora. Oh, that's it for the extra deck. Now on to the little tip. Alright. I wrote it down so I didn't forget, sorry. Alright. So for this tip to work, be the second one to go. Then what you have to have in your hand, which by luck or whatever, is you need a Duza, Cubic Karma, Cubic Seed, Cubic Wave, or V-Jom and Cubic Wave, plus 2 random Cubic cards. Alright, for this to work, so those cards right there. So what you do is you summon Duza, then use Duza's effect, sending a Cubic Karma from your deck to the graveyard. Cubic Karma will then activate, banishing itself to add to your hand Crimson Nova. You will then reveal from your hand any 3 cubic cards you have. So, say for instance, Cubic Wave, V-Jom, and Cubic Karma. Then you'd special summon Crimson Nova. Right, so then activate Cubic Karma. Target Crimson Nova here. Then you'll send the 1 V-Jom in your hand and the 2 in the deck to the grave, and he'll gain 800 for each of them, so putting his attack points at 5,400. Then you will go ahead and activate Cubic Wave. Once again, you're targeting Crimson Nova, and then target a monster your opponent controls. Say for instance they got dealt a bad hand on the first move, and so they have no face downs. Let's just say that for an example. Again, a rare occasion, depending who you duel. They have no face downs protecting them, and their monsters face up because they thought it would do good to defend themselves. Say against Kaiba, Kaiser Seahorse with 1,700 attack points. So his attack is doubled. Kaiser Seahorse attack is cut in half. So Kaiser Seahorse 1,700, 850, I want to say. Yeah, 850. and his attack is doubled, meaning his attack points is 10,800. And Kaiser Seahorse is, I'm just giving an example that they only have Kaiser Seahorse or any face-up monster or whatnot. So then his attack points is 10,800. He'll attack whatever it is, depending on what it is. Doesn't really matter, because if he even if it was in defense mode, if they only have one monster, if he destroys their monster by battle, he can attack again, which means, boom, direct damage of 10,800. Game over right there. I was testing it with my Kaiba deck today. The Kaiba deck was dealt a bad hand, and the Cubic deck was clearly dealt a really good hand, and OTK'd it right there. Well, guys, that was pretty much my Cubic deck profile update. Hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, EpicMan14111 signing out.